All right, good afternoon. Thursday, March 21st, 2024. And another Bookmap stream, another big bullish day. Surprise, surprise. So it's been a bit of a boring late morning afternoon. Yes, the S&P has kind of been chopping around. Nasdaq's been back and forth. They just took off liquidity at the top of the hour here. And we're all kind of looking to see what this baby is going to do after the extremely bullish reaction to FOMC. But welcome, welcome. Intro beat goes hard. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. So welcome YouTube stream. Welcome everybody else to the Discord. Liquidity did just get stripped for the data. They just did wipe it off. I have got to mute that. That is annoying. One second. Let me see if I can mute that. I don't know. Figure that out. So, looking at right here, we've got main liquidity up to 18,750 on NASDAQ. Large red candle right when we start here, coming off. Beautiful stuff. So we do look a little top wicky. Yes, they're holding right against this range. 15-minute looks a little absorbed. If you look at, of course, I'm sure the trend line that everyone's following now on the S&P, that the ES is right up against their macro trend line. So we'll see what actually wants to occur there. Who's going to win out the battle of the trend lines here? The euphoria bullish, or do sellers hit that tape there? But at the moment, we've got very light liquidity, very light volume into 53.23 and change, and then that's pretty much it for the S&P. There hasn't been any real major icebergs, no real major selling blocks today, as I've been using the large trades alert, which I need to mute. No, I'm good, Stephen Hawking, thank you. So there hasn't been too many large lots this afternoon, so we'll see how that continues to play out. But 18,709 is the double top we just have. We already rejected that this morning, rejected that just now, which is the morning high. Coming down ES. So all it is a range day. ES put in a brief new high and then rejected. We're right on top of the POC, VWAP, all that stuff, which is smack dab in the middle of the morning range. So everything is lining up for a range session. VWAP, POC, price actions all in the middle, right in between the morning high and low. It's all just kind of strapped right here in the middle. All that to say is that all this really is a continuation of yesterday pre-FOMC, which is buy the lows, sell the highs. On the range of the day. Buy the lows, sell the highs. Let's see here. Looking around, looking around. All right. Can't hear talking to Bookmap. Can you hear me now? Can y'all hear me talking to Bookmap? Dan can hear me. Okay, sweet. Some people said they couldn't. All right. Small bottom wick after a large red. Bouncing back up inside the range. Not really looking to go out. The biggest weird thing of the day today is going to be the discrepancy between Apple and everything else. Apple is getting smoked right now. They are 172.21. They're down 3.6%. Google also got smoked at 0.9. Tesla's down 1.3. But, of course, NVIDIA, they're up 2%. AVGO is up almost 9%. If you look at the SMH, which is the semiconductor ETF, they are also up an extraordinary amount. They had a large gap up after FOMC. So the semiconductors continue to be the fuel that is running the rocket ship right now. And that's what we're looking for. 53.23 on ES. NASDAQ still has the 18,750 up top. GS is up 4% again. Yeah, the banks are doing very well still. In fact, let's go take a look at JPM. JP Morgan's up big time as well. Just a lot of green, All 9 of the 10 X sectors are green. The only red one is XLRE, which is down 0.05, barely even red. So definitely a strength day today. Another buy 500 order here on ES. Now, in the world of absorption or exhaustion, what are we looking for? On the daily chart for ES, we have not had a retracement more than 1% or 2% since the beginning of October. It's been straight up, riding the trend line all the way up. We've been in a very, very tight channel for months and months and months, which is a little odd, but that's the world we live in. They're coming up right against this upper trend line here, which is to get an accurate pricing is roughly 53.27, 53.26. So in the next 10 points, we'll be touching that trend line, accurately plotted. Nasdaq has their own trend line as well. They're coming up as well. That'll be roughly 19 and change, 19,000. So they've got another couple hundred points before they touch that thing. As today, they've finally taken out all-time highs. So interesting stuff. The whole pattern for months and months has been buy the dip, sell the highs. Buy the dip, sell the highs. But with the highs increasing the higher highs and the lows putting in higher lows, which is just, it's obvious that where the trend is going at the moment. And it's also why you certainly don't want to be shorting anything until we have that breakdown, because this is obviously going to keep going. A strong melt up until we break that trend line. And it becomes obvious. I think it's holding a little bit red, but everything else looks good. Nice. Caught that sucker down to 670. What's up, Corey? Thank you again for supporting the community, buddy. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us. Greatly appreciated. Can you take a look at GM? I'm up just over 51% from what I bought in November. I feel like the chart says sell. Let's take a look. General Motors, $43. I mean, they are at a pretty major resistance. So for me, I wouldn't necessarily sell. I'd put a stop on it. I'd put a 42 stop on that baby. And if they close over this supply, it's going to squeeze. And then with the overarching goal being between 48 and 50, that'll be my overarching target if this were to break out. Granted, I know nothing about GM. I know nothing about I'm not familiar with the price action or their fundamentals, but they are into a major supply. So that's not grounds to close out. That's grounds to roll your stops up tight. And then if it does clear this supply, you can have a nice day, especially with the amount of the buying that just came in a couple of days ago on that chart. What are options priced at right now? March 2 options. 1 DTEs are moderately priced. IV is super low. SPX 5250s, which is at the money. $10 for puts and $19 for calls. Ish. What's funny is my poor man's cover call is just a plain old long at this point. Too tricky to sell calls in this environment. There you go. Gotta roll it. Great conversation earlier, man. Some people saying that I saw a couple of people saying that they can't really find their groove this week, and that is perfectly normal. Don't get discouraged with that. I myself I'm not in the best groove right now. That's why I'm pulling positions back and just kind of being patient, because you're not going to kill it every day. Certainly not every day. Not even close to every day. So don't get discouraged. But it's also incumbent on yourself to start pulling back position sizes, sitting on your hands a little bit more, maybe finding something that's a little more clear to trade, understanding the macro environment. Apple is getting wrecked with a K. Definitely. Yeah, GM had that massive volume on March 15th. Huge buyers. Still no trades for me today? There you go. There ain't nothing wrong with that, Damien. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Good stuff. Reddit is apparently set to open at $48, and the IPO is priced at 34. is this? Coming back up. Is it unwise to trade options on a new IPO? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's a good way to get wrecked with a K. So looking around here, what do we have other than the S&P and NASDAQ? We've got oil. Oil is now retesting the upper bounds of their range. This upper 70s, low 80s, let's call it 79 into 80, is the upper range of oil since November. And now they're dropping back off to retest that. Oil spent a lot of time pinned without any movement whatsoever, weeks and weeks and weeks. And we finally broke above, and now we're having a little bit of pullback. If they hold this area, maybe the analysts are right that oil will go to 93 this June. I've never seen options for opening day of stocks IPO. There you go. Well, it's probably smart. $18,674. Still not moving. You watch the CVD come off about 1,300 and change, now down to 500. No real icebergs, no sell orders so far. We have a small iceberg sitting here at on ES at 53.17 up top. Look at the hourly deep wicks on ES right now with dropping volume against daily time frames. Do you think we have reached a top? Oh man. Let's take a look at the hourly. We do have deep wicks. Yes. It is not unheard of to sell off after the day after FOMC. It's happened numerous times. And not to mention, we are at a very strong macro trend line. We are within 10 points of a very strong macro trend line on the S&P. This price action reeks of exhaustion today, yes. But, I mean, who knows? Who knows? This market certainly is in freight train mode. It's buying up everything and anything. I've already taken my speculative short for the quarter. It didn't work out, although obviously, yes, we hedged, but still. So for me, it's all about patience. It's all about patience. I will wait until the signs are there, and then I will, again, speculate on downside once the signs are there. Until then, we're just going to keep on riding this thing up. If Linda Raschke has a say-so today, we'll look to play it down tomorrow. I really thought we'd sell off in the morning after the bounce overnight. Yeah, I was of the opinion that we would have some red today after yesterday's bullishness. However, that sell-off there at about 6 o'clock in the morning, like 100-point sell-off on NASDAQ, that made me very skeptical of further downside today. Well, I would say skeptical, but it reduced my confidence that we were going to drop today after yesterday's. If they ran it straight green up until the bell, that's when I would look for red. But they had the big sell-off there right before the market opened and then bounced it, and then that cleared out the order book, and here we are higher. Barely higher. We haven't really gone too far during the session itself, but that's why I was kind of hoping for a strong green pre-market that kept on going. But unfortunately it didn't. The order book stayed flat. Another red candle. 53.17. A little bit more red Momo. 668. The overarching here is taking out the wick from the top of the hour, which is 662. That's what you got to take out. I have a feeling 2 p.m. it's go time. Let's do it. Let's do it, Dan. A little bit more red. Kind of creeping off here. Do I have a video on icebergs? Not yet, no. Not specifically on icebergs. What's the difference between the B3 indicator and the normal one? I can't seem to load flat that up for some reason. What do you mean the B3 indicator? Gold has a good sell-off overnight, but that's about it. Nice. Reddit IPO is live. Reddit open. Go buy y'all some Reddit. RDTT. Romeo Delta Delta Tango. All right, let's see. It opens. Reddit opened at 51.70 and it's at 52 now. And Reddit's officially live. 52.61. 53. 53.50. And still going. Nice. Another 500 buy ice or buy order, which filled the same time we were here last time, which was 15 minutes ago. So still supportive volume coming in. Oh, the iceberg's a stop indicator. Okay. That one, the B3, that new one doesn't work. So the traditional iceberg indicator is one that I still have. Which, if you look here, configure add-ons, stops and iceberg subchart, and the on chart. That's what I use, which is down here. But every time I try to load those, it doesn't work. It gives me an error message. If you were to watch just 3 tickers that influence the Dow, what do you favor for that? The Goldman Sachs, UNH, are going to be 2 of the big players. Home Depot is one I watch as well. And those are that's the type of market that I'm trying to watch for any kind of rotation. That's when I'm paying attention to the Dow. A little bit more red. Another top wick. Still shaking the tree here. The NASDAQ needs to break 665, 660, that little 5-point range there, to start coming off. Otherwise, they're going to go back up. All right, a little more red. Looks like we're finally going to take this out, and off we go. Let's hope it closes. Oh, yeah. 660. Look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA's coming off. Dropping like a rock, baby. Party like a rock star. Liquidity down to 635. They have a little spoof at 625. CVD continuing to drop. But we got to get down there. It's still pretty tight overall. We just got to start moving. Do I have any open trades? And I'm thinking about making a silly trade, SPY put expiring Monday. I don't think that's necessarily a silly trade. Just position yourself appropriately. Understand that you're speculating, but there's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, though, we still haven't broke the pattern. The pattern is still buy the dip, sell the rip, with increasingly higher highs and higher lows. That's still the pattern. We haven't broken out of that yet. So the pattern does say now is where we rotate back over. And then in 2 days, we'll buy it back up to go even higher. And then every 2 days, that type of thing. So that's what the pattern says. What do I think the Reddit will reach before it drops? Who knows, man? Who knows? Sometimes IPOs go nuts. Sometimes they tank like they drop like a rock. Who knows? On Reddit, I probably would guess is going to go nuts. It's probably being pumped on WSB. It's already up to 57. So it's already $23 higher than the IPO. Is Apex what you would recommend for a funded account? I personally would still recommend Top Step over Apex if you're going to try that. If you're going to go down that path, I think you need to go with Top Step. Apex, yes, is much cheaper. Apex does offer leverage in the terms of 20 accounts, but the rules are very, very difficult. The trailing drawdown is incredibly difficult. Nvidia is dropping because the WSB jump on Reddit. There you go. Been having a lot of trouble reading NASDAQ and ES for the past 2 months. Any advice? You are not alone, dude. You're not alone. I've gotten numerous DMs about people who say for some reason the past month I've just lost it. I can't read anything. I'm taking loss after loss, and it's because we are in this choppy market. Go look at NASDAQ's chart the past month and a half. It's dead flat. Well, now we're a little bit higher, but aside from the past 2 days, it's been dead flat for a month and a half. So all we're doing is bouncing off the lows, selling the highs, bouncing off the lows, selling the highs, and people have a tendency to, when they see red, they want to short, and when they see green, they want to buy. But the past month and a half, it's been, if you see green, it's time to start selling. If you see red, it's time to start buying, and which goes against the quote-unquote retail mindset. So, and that's why, that's the stance that I took 2 weeks ago, is that until I see a breakaway that's confident in volume, I'm going to hang out. I'm just going to chill. I'll play very small position sizing. I'll play a couple of micros here and there. And when I see it time to shine, we're gonna sling it. And I'm being ironclad with that. When the stars align and we have big flow, we'll take it. But remember, this can do this a long time. April and May of 2023, for 2 months, we did this crap. So it can do this a long time. Been struggling to interpret well. It's the matrix, trying to get short to trading, but man, sticking with swings. Yeah, and there's no coincidence that a lot of people started having issues right around this time, myself included. Like I told y'all about an hour ago, I posted that this is my cycle where I'm pulling it back because I'm not seeing things as clearly as normal, and that happens to every trader. You go through cycles where things are clear, things are unclear. You start killing it, you can't miss, and then all of a sudden you can't hit anything. That happens to everybody, and when that happens, you have to have the insight to pull things back and not trade full positions, not trade your normal confident positions. Tiger Woods says that his normal swing when he's on the golf course is 80%. It's 80%. So if he needs to, he could turn it up to 100, and if he needs to, he can turn it down to 60. Trade with the same concept. Don't sling 100% every time. Know when to turn it off and turn it down. Turn it on. I got stupid and blew my apex today. That's okay, Seth. Understand why. Another top wick. Looks like we're going to drop to 650. 650 was the same level that we had to break this morning. We briefly broke 650 and then bounced it right on back up. Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse warns that lower income customers are starting to pull back. Longhorn's some pretty good stuff. Olive Garden used to be my jam, but it is terrible. I'll tell you that story. I told you that story. SPY is still back and forth, back and forth. Red is now up 58% above IPO to $54. Longhorn's got the best cheesesteak in the game. Incorrect. I have the best cheesecake in the game. I can make an awesome cheesecake. The bread. Last time I went, the breadsticks stunk. They stunk. Stuck up the place. And I used to go there for the breadsticks. 60-minute candles, man. Red, green, wiki, 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 back to 16 or 18,670. Place your limit buy on YM. There you go. What are they doing right now? YM. And they're hanging out at those highs. 40,250. They're at the bottom of their range. Place your limit buy at what? 4229? 230? 225, there you go. Bookmap's not telling us all that much today. Very low activity. Tomorrow we have Powell speaking at 9 o'clock. We have FOMC Bostic speaking at 4 o'clock. And that is it. Absolutely nothing tomorrow. Except those two events. Red Lobster, terrible. Last time I went to Red Lobster said I'd never go again. It was awful. Granted, it was in the middle of COVID, but still. $18,665. Apple's not moving at all. Nvidia's bouncing back up. Top wick, bottom wick. Nothing actionable so far. Throughout the last year or so, can you go over a time period where it was very stable and choppy for an extended period of time? I'm new to the future market. Yeah, April and May of 2023. But if you're talking about a long period of time, I mean, yeah, that was long, but that was too much. But if you're talking about before that, 2018, 2019. Terrible, terrible, terrible. That's what almost got me out of the markets. Very difficult to make money. Very difficult to weather the chop. IV was 8. I mean, VIX was 8, 8.5. In order to sell any credit, you had to go like 5 or 10 points out of the money. I mean, it was just terrible. And literally, I was ready to cash it in, man. I was ready to shut down and go about my business in real estate. That was it, because at the time, real estate prices were still cheap. I was done with it. You certainly couldn't scalp, which is why this whole thing, the whole time we've been around in this community, I've been trying to tell y'all to learn different aspects of trading, because the time's going to come where it's just not practical to scalp. It's going to be impossible to scalp. We're doing a kind of short-term trading. At least on the indexes. You might be able to get away with some individual names, but certainly not on the indexes. It could be a while, though, because we do have some volatility baked in here. You know, we've got the remaining years of the post-coronavirus market. You know, we still have a lot of rate cuts to get through, but once all that shakes out, then we're going to have a bounce back up as the bull market re-engages. But once that subsides, then we're going to go back into a quote-unquote normal market. At least that's what I think. Who knows? This could be a new normal where It's like that. It's the scene at the end of the movie of Day After Tomorrow, after the new ice age, a new normal type of thing. But still, little red candles here. Booyah. Nice little trend coming all the way down on NASDAQ. Slow trickle. Slow trickle. 40 points down on NASDAQ, which is not all that much, but they're making it down. Morning high wins again, baby. And guess what? If we get down to morning low, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy it. Trust the ranges. Still going red. 652. Every time I hear Red Lobster, I think of Happy Gilmore. My treat. Let's see. Strength of the directional move is waning, even though bullish prices dip slightly. $16,656. So still, the 650 realm on NASDAQ continues to be a problem. This is where we bounced off of all throughout the pre-market. This is where we kind of pinged to throughout the session. So if you look, I mean, it's not the main support, but it's still one you need to pay attention to. Let's look at the chart. So if you notice, right here, 650, obviously right here, it's also VWAP. You've got all these pivots. See these pivots right here? Right here, right here, right here, right here. It's just, it is a main, it's not the main ones, not the outsides, but it's still a decent pivot here. And this is one we have to get through. Not to mention, it's VWAP, and also not to mention, we're still smack dab in the middle of the range, right here, middle. So once we get through here, now we can start talking about the possibility of down here. And then once we get down here, I'll look for a little shakeout, a couple of bottom wicks, and then we'll go long and see if we can come back up. And we'll see if Linda Raschke is going to come into play this afternoon. And we're also following this nice little trend line down. Current market pattern looks like a baseball when you hit it sky high and it's reaching its apex before coming down to smack someone in the face. Yep. You know what's funny? I'm reading yet another market book, this Trading Sardines book, and still, all the books I've read, many, many, many books about the market I've read, I'm still yet to find a single successful trader who has talked anything about anything technical. Nothing. Not a single piece of technical information on any trading book I've read. I take that back. There's one book, but it was specifically about technical trading. So other than that one specific book, not one single piece of technical information across any book. It's all about order flow, volume, and psychology. Anyway, we're still coming off red here. Finally taking out the 650, large red, right back down to the range. Very nice. Liquidity still stacked, 53.10. Now where would 53.10 put us? Right at the morning low, a point and a half above morning low. So if we absorb this, we'd be a point and a half above morning low. So that's a decent place to put a little support. We'll keep an eye on it, make sure they don't stack anything lower. Look for any kind of supportive CVD move. Look for any kind of icebergs. Right now, we're just in a drift lower. 53.11, and then of course 53.09. grab something here. What was that I just saw? Commercial real estate is a slow burn that could affect the banking industry long term. Rising interest rates are continuing to slash the value of assets on books. U.S. banks are saddled with hundreds of billions of dollars of unrealized losses. This is going to continue to raise the possibility of defaults on commercial real estate loans, mostly highlighted in the New York Community Bank Corp. Interesting. Good stuff. To be fair, they are pretty protective of whatever edges they have. Those edges are fleeting anyway, but Lynn rescues all sorts of fancy stuff like neutral networks in your trading system. She talks about neutral networks around 120, 180, like she has servers and stuff. She does a lot by hand too. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to reading it to get there. $15-minute bottom wicks once again. See how wicky this crap is? Look at that. Look at this 15-minute batch right here. Nothing but wicks. Finally move up, and now bottom wick, bottom wick, bottom wick on this move down. This is not the type of trends I like to play, if you can call this a trend, is the longer term wickiness. It's very difficult to catch an entry on these things because every move is wicked. So if it does close a wick, then we'll go ahead and play it, but I hope that it comes on down and retraces to the morning low so we can get a good confident entry. Or you've got a little, and the reason why I like to do that is because of the quote-unquote natural support in the market. VWAP or any other line is not any kind of real support. It's just a line in the sand. So the reason why I like to buy a morning low is because we have actual market defense for your position. So, yeah. Yeah, what's going to happen when all the Reddit boys on Wall Street Bets start to get their hands on some short positions on Reddit? That'll be interesting. Maybe Reddit will go away then? Maybe. Still falling down. 655. Boring stuff. Dow's not moving. Russell's not moving. XLF ain't moving. Apple's not moving. Liquidity's kind of sparse. I'm going to take a look at Apple's daily. I think that's a good way to look right now. Apple's been putting on some major moves. Apple has all the hallmark price action of coming back down to 168 to 165. It's trending down. It had a little ascending wedge we broke today. 165 is definitely within reach. Not to mention, you know what else 167 is? 167 is the bottom of the high volume node on the volume profile for Apple. So once we take out this range, if they do, it's going to be a quick trip to 156, 155. So keep an eye on Apple. I'll be very curious to see if they do that. If they were to move Apple down to like 150 and start absorbing that 150 block, what would the market do with that? NVIDIA seems to be the big dog on campus nowadays. But if NVIDIA continues to rocket and Apple continues to drop, and we start to have the market cap, yeah, I guess market cap would be a true statement, but market cap start to close between those two, what would happen? Apple's coming down. 653 still dropping. Also, if you haven't already heard, Bookmap is running a competition. It's a crypto competition for our crypto traders. If you're interested in doing something like that, there's some great cash prizes that I see. So if you want to take that out, here is the competition. I'll put that up here. Boom. There's the QR code if you want to scan it. And for the people in the chat, I'll post it here too. It's free to sign up as well. Here's a link for it if you want to do that. And there you go. Beautiful stuff. Should be a pretty fun thing. Go check it out. Bookmap's a great resource. And the competition should be fun. Yes, NASDAQ bouncing back up, holding 650. There's that 650 bounce. Well, you know, sometimes it's hit or miss with these streams in this hour. Sometimes we have bangers, sometimes we don't move, or it's very slow. Hurts to see Apple do this. I had a 328 put this morning and it went green for $100 and I took the profit. I'd be up a lot if I held. I hold winners, I hold losers, but I have a hard time holding winners. Yeah, well, both of those are driven by fear. You hold a loser because you're terrified that if you close it, it'll come back and you'll be profitable again. And you cut winners short because you're terrified that if you continue to hold it, it'll bounce and you'll lose. It's not an easy thing to fix. All right. I do the exact same thing. Yeah, we all do. That's part of being a trader, man. It's part of improving, getting better. But I will tell you this, Breadmore and Yochiro and everybody else. Yes, you can talk about the psychology side of things on, yeah, you need to get better at that, but that's not going to improve on the same side. It's not going to improve unless you're taking better technically sound setups. So the less you trade and the more patient you are to take a high quality trade, like right now, for example, I'm waiting for the morning low, the better I'm going to be to hold the winners a little bit longer. Because if the pattern says buy the lows and then rocket 200 points, I'm going to be a lot more comfortable taking a trade at that pivot point with the appropriate position size, of course, and letting that thing do its thing until it finally gets to my target, or at least it starts going in that area. And then all it is stop loss management. You put a stop loss on, you set the target of the depth of the stop loss away from the particular strike, and then you just let that ride on up like a trailing stop. You set it at 20 points, 50 points, 30 points, whatever your R&R is defined to be, and you hold it. But the more that you can, oh, look at Apple getting smoked. The more you can automate that, the better. Yeah, automize. There you go. Put that in your vocabulary and smoke it. Apple's getting smoked right now. Big red on NVIDIA and NASDAQ and ES. And maybe this will bring us down to the low. $645. Large red engulfing. Apple getting destroyed currently. $645. This is like the third touch of 650. This should break through with that kind of momentum and bring us down to at least close to the morning low at this point. That's a lot of momentum. I was way over trading, looking for trades that weren't even there. Yeah. There's not a single person in here that should be taking more than 3 trades a day, and that's even a lot. $639 coming down, and this should get us down to the morning low right here. Finally broke through support on a red engulfing. This should get us to 6.2. I would say 626, maybe even 620, but I would say 626 first. Now we're falling off. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Apple is definitely sliding, and that may bring Apple down into the 156 area once we clear. We still have some ways to go. We still got to get to 165 first. But once it does that, that's going to be all she wrote. Glorious stuff. Got down to 631. I'm still looking for 626. There's that range right there. All right. $643. Thought I heard a notification, but I don't see where it went. Okay. So there's another top wick there, 638, looking for 626 on this move right here. At which point, we'll look for any kind of basing. Apple's coming off hard. Nvidia, meh, not really moving. Small red on Nvidia, they're doing their part. Nothing else is moving. I'm trying to understand icebergs. Is there a tip you can give? Yeah, I would encourage you to go on Bookmap's knowledge base, which is by the way, if you've got Bookmap or want to get Bookmap, fantastic resource to learn the product. Go in there and understand what the products are, the add-ons. But icebergs are hidden orders. They're hidden orders on the order book, and they're various quantities. But how I apply them is I track them for any kind of sentiment. Now, these small things here, small potatoes, I'm not going to really execute based off of this. But if there are numerous icebergs that are 500, 700 that grow up to like 3,000 or even bigger, that's when I start to drive sentiment. That's when I start to become actionable. And then the more of them they are, the higher quantity they are, that's when I really start to play into them. Here's 630 and still dropping. Can't really get too much momentum here, but they're trying to trickle it lower. Apple's down 4%. It's going to be tough for the market to stay up. I think Google's also affected by that news earlier. Certainly looks like it. Here it comes, 626, 627, 628. Back and forth. And we're probably going to break this thing here. Ooh, they even put on 590. Muy interesante. There's NASDAQ on Bookmap here. Low of the day, the morning low is 626 with an overall low of the day of 617. But we are about to tag this target. Beautiful stuff. Apple's coming off as well, 919. You're welcome. But you see, for the first time, we're starting to see a little bit of order book fill here. 950, 590, 580. Boom, new low. Red coming off, 624. That's a new morning. It popped the morning low, and it looks like they're trying to get a new low. Look at that, still coming. 620. So from this here, we just hit the morning low, which I know is usually a good support. So what am I going to do? You roll up any kind of stops tight, and you just be careful of any kind of major bounce. I certainly don't want to go short in this hole. This is one of those targets that if we do continue to go down, which I still think we'll have some sort of bounce here, but if we were to go down, I'm not going to be shorting right here. What I'm going to do is that here's the support. I'm going to let it breach, bounce back up, and then I'll short the line if they were to do something like that. If they were to start coming back up, I'll look for rejection off the prior support, which is now resistance, and then you come off. But I certainly don't want to go shorting the morning low. In fact, I still think we're going to bounce here. But that's the thing that's going through my head. That's all risk mitigation. How do I plan my trades about what could happen? That's the 15-minute. Let's go to the 5. I don't need that as well. Why I'm still holding the range. Nvidia is starting to get smoked here. Starting to get smoked. And I'm still rolling this thing off. That's all I'm going to do is play hopscotch with my stops and roll it down. I used to jump in short as a level break instead of waiting for the retest. Yeah. And not to say it won't continue to smoke it. I'm just saying the smart decision, the consistent decision, you don't go short in the holes, you wait for the retests. Morning session low, yeah. Morning session low. Right here, coming off. 613. NASDAQ is below, new low of the day for NASDAQ. Dropping still. Russell hasn't moved. Dow hasn't moved. NASDAQ is putting on a bounce. Not a bounce, but a bottom wick, I should say. VIX is still increasing as well, 13. Still going. Look at this. Nice. Did I leave for a sec? No, I'm still here. I'm still here. We're just watching. I'm going to roll my stop to just above the liquidity. So I'm going to say 630 is where I'm going to set. That's going to give that a chance to bounce and still reject. I want to let it bounce if it's going to do it. And then after that, we'll look to go speculate long. But I'll need about 15 to 21 minute cycle of bottom wicks. And what happens is that you've got this price action. If now we already discussed the scenario on where I would enter a short, but to maintain my thesis of I do think we're going to bounce here, here's how I'll go about doing that. Here's the morning low, right here. And the way I would go about doing that is I don't expect this. I don't expect this right here. What I expect is this. Bounce, another top wick to scare everybody out, some sort of base in this area, bottom wick, and then start to go. So that's where I'll start to go longing on this touch. And that's pretty much the inverse of the downside theory of shorting here. I want to buy the long here because there's typically a top wick to shake everybody back out because this is too obvious. And then you wait for this to climb back up. And that's also making sure that I'm not going to buy the dip here when all it is just some short covering. So that buys me some time to understand the order book here, is that this can be one of two things if this were to start bouncing the first time. It could be just some closing out some shorts, taking profit, getting a rebuild before going lower. Or it could very well be the upside, but they first have to shake people out. So you'll have a little top wick back over, and then a secondary hammer candle, which kind of looks like, a candle that looks like that. It's terrible. And then we go higher. The secondary confirmation is the great place to start going long. Even if it's not down at the same level, if it's like this, like here, still a great place to go long. Still a great place to go long. But that's what you have to be patient at, because people get so FOMOing into wanting to buy the dip that they start buying in early and they get smoked, or they buy this first part thinking it's finally bouncing, it comes back off, they get scared it's going to drop, they get stopped out, and right when they get stopped out, what happens? Boing! Holy crap, I would have caught 200 points. So understand that this happens. Now, does this happen every time? No, sure. But this is going to keep you from missing out on moves or entering a little bit too early. So just wait. Let the market do its thing. And if you don't catch every one of them, cool. If you're not supposed to, you can catch every now and then. But it's certainly more than missing all of it. And that's what I'm looking for here. So in my head, I'm either going to enter here or also here, except for the downside. But I have a current stop on a short position at 630. Now, why did I pick 630 for a short? For a stop loss, I'm sorry. 630 right there. That's my short, that's my current stop right there for my short. Why did I do that? Because you see all this bottom wick right here? I want to let this thing have a chance to bounce without breaking through structure. Right now the market structure is right here. You see all this? So if it's going to bounce, if it takes out this area, then I know probably it's a good place to stop out because it's going to keep on climbing. But if it just does some bottom wicks and kind of fizzles out right here, I don't want to get stopped out. So yes, it's a balance between giving back some profit to ensure that you might catch a move down, but also not giving back too much where you're not, setting a stop loss way up here where you're going to give back all your profit. It's a clearly defined stop loss that I want to place smartly. And as long as it holds under this structure, there's a decent chance it could go down. But if it does, then cool, I stop out, and then we'll look for my secondary plan of going long here. Or I guess my primary plan, I should say, because I do think we're going to bounce. My demo trading is great. My real money trading is still atrocious. It's like I can't read the market with real money. Any suggestions? Micro position sizing. Micro position sizing. Cut it all the way back. If you're normally trading macros, you trade minis. Or I'm sorry. If you're normally trading minis, you trade micros. One micro until you kind of get the hang of it. Get the hang of it. You want to trade money, real money, but make it so that if you lose, not that big of a deal. You lose a Big Mac sandwich or something. And then as you start to develop reps, you get into it. How do you play breakouts? Same concept. Same concept. Look, now we're coming off. See? 630 stop worked out very well. Beautiful. Now look at this. Now we're eating. Num, 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 num. Where if I would have set my stop too tight, because it cannot break into market structure. Right here. And now, I don't have to worry about going long right now because I can still ride this thing down because I didn't stop out. This market structure right here was too great, and down we go. Anyway, blew past the hour here. Good conversation. I do have to sign off the Bookmap stream. I'm going to come back on, though, for the Discord stream for those who do want to hang out. But I do have to finish the Bookmap stream. So thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. I'll see you next Thursday, 1 p.m. Go sign up for that Bookmap crypto competition. It should be something fun. Until next time, I'm out. See ya.